So I'm Mark with the Business Growth Experts, and got an individual here who has been going through our online course.
Yeah.
And some of the numbers and facts that you shared with me in just a short amount of time is blowing my mind. And so that was why I grabbed the video camera and said, wait, what you're sharing with me, share this so people can see how valuable this information is and how you're applying it and what it means from one quarter all the way projected out to the year. So man, let's jump in.
Well, my name is Daniel, and let me just do a little bit of wrap around here before I dive into the numbers. You and I met a few months back, and you introduced me to a program, Business Growth Experts, and I honestly, I loved that how passionate you were about it. I had no idea how I was going to apply it into my nonprofit, but I got an opportunity to work with my father-in-law. My father-in-law presented this opportunity to me at the beginning of the year. And he owns a medical center. It's a spinal decompression therapy treatment center.
Okay.
It's in Costa Mesa, I believe, off Harvard. And so when I went into it, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna apply this program that Mark gave me. I'm just gonna see how it works. So I started diving into it, man, and I just wanted to go in and just do a very few small different things that I thought was gonna work first. And it got a little confusing for me. So I started applying your program into it. And the very simple things that you pointed out as far as keeping track of things, looking into things and putting things side by side and comparing them and see what works, what doesn't work, looking in the past, seeing what didn't work, cutting those things out and making other things that could possibly work and trying different avenues. So we tried doing all that in the first month. But the amazing thing was that the last quarter of last year, as I looked over the numbers, they had over $100,000 just in refunds, just in one quarter. And that kind of blew my mind, so I started looking into why. Why is this even happening?
That's a great question of why.
Yeah.
I love it.
So what I found out, and the one thing that, and I want you guys all to check this out for yourself because I don't want to give all of it away. It's worth diving into yourself. But the one thing that really made a difference for us was the follow-up system. The follow-up system, and you can apply it differently according to the business that you have. If it's personal one-on-one meetings, then you follow up differently than if you're a part of an organization and you're following up with different new clients, whatever it is.
Yeah, and there's a lot of systems in there. So I didn't know this. So when you first got the course, it was to apply it to your nonprofit.
Yes.
And then you thought, wait a minute, I'm consulting over here. I can use this information over here too.
Exactly.
I love it. 2 for 1, baby.
Exactly. So it worked perfectly, man. So they had no follow-up system. So people will come in, and then there's a certain time of period where refunds are allowed. So if they're not being followed up with correctly and they're not being treated correctly through that process, there's usually a refund process. So I started kind of diving into that. Like, what does that look like? What is the walking out the door follow-up process like? What is the next day follow-up process? What is the next week follow-up process look like?
I love it. So, you're getting exactly what we lay out, literally step by step.
It's amazing, and I'll tell you this: we're on track for this year, according to just one quarter of numbers that I went through, to save at least 45% of the refunds that we had. Like, if you do the numbers, like almost half.
Yeah. And numbers don't lie. That's why I love. So many times people say things that goes, let's just look at the numbers. What do the numbers say? Okay, 400 plus going out. By doing this just in one quarter, we're on projection to actually, it looks like net quarter of a mil.
Pretty much.
Freaking awesome, I love it!
Much, so.
I'm hoping you can see the passion because this is why I do what I do. Is when we're in the business, most businesses we work with are experts within their business, but they don't understand everything else, the metrics, and so many people look for the shiny things, or they'll go out and they'll hire consultants at 30, 40, 50,000 a year just to try to figure stuff out. And it's like, no, you don't need to.
You just gotta make things simple, man.
Oh, that's awesome. So you implemented a follow-up system and already saw an immediate return within one quarter.
In the first 3 months, I've already seen immense, massive change. Another thing that you just mentioned that we started applying, so everything relied on one person's shoulders. The person that's an expert at the business, right? So we started systemizing everything and creating kind of like a team the team leads that look over certain teams, and then everybody reports it. So
we talk about that, the dream team, and the whole deal.
Exactly. So that by itself took a lot of pressure off the head, and then that person's able to kind of operate where they most succeed at, where they have the most capabilities at, and not have to worry about the little things. So communication, making things simple. And simplicity is key. That's one of the modules in there. So because business is complicated by itself, you know, it'll find a way to get complicated.
We tend to overcomplicate things as opposed to actually going back. When you look at the roots, it's very simple. And so one of the things we dive into the course, and I'm all about giving as much as I can away, so I'll dive into it. But a lot of it is, it's interesting because we know our craft at like a 9 or a 10 on a scale 1 to 10 as expert, and we tend to go and just let people know at that. Even if we dump it down a little bit, 7 to 8, people go like, what?
Yeah.
One of the lessons we talk about is actually through this process, we bring it down to a 2 or a 3, because that's where most consumers and clients need the information in order to assimilate it and understand it. We're way too technical using jargon, and so by bringing it down simple, people go, oh, wait a minute, over here I'm in pain, I go to you, I'm out of pain, sign me up.
Right.
That's awesome.
Exactly. And one last thing I'll share, because I don't want to waste the viewers' time. You guys gotta dive into this yourself. It's amazing. Another thing I really took into place was, where are we spending money at, and how effective is that money that we're spending really? So one of the things was marketing. You know, so where are we marketing at? What is our return on what we're marketing, and is it even making you know, what we're spending on it?
I love your terminology now from just a few months ago.
It's amazing, man, and we honed it down to one specific thing that works right now, and then we're gonna expand on it slowly to other areas. So we were spending in. Try not to put out too much numbers.
No, you don't have to.
Well, yeah, we were spending thousands of dollars on marketing in different areas that was having very little return on the investment in a sense, but one thing that worked really well, which was social media. So what I decided to do through the process was eliminate certain things that we don't do, save money on that, and then just focus more on what works.
See, I'm doing backflips right now. So one of the biggest issues we have when we're out educating is people hear it, they get excited, and then they don't apply it.
Yeah.
And then they go, oh, it doesn't work. Well, no, it works. You don't work. Come on. So seeing someone that actually learns a lesson, applies, comes back, learns a lesson, applies. So just on the marketing aspect alone, you were able to track the metrics like we talk about and teach, and then come down and look, this is working, and then talking about riding it till it dies, is honing in, leveraging it, and continue to ride, and then slowly expanding in other areas, what you're nailing, and then also the follow-up. So you're actually utilizing different levels or different avenues or streams, if you will, at the same time from this course, and you're already seeing a return on less refunds, happier clients and customers, more efficient marketing.
Yeah. And it's amazing, man. And for those of you who are gonna dive into this and learn it and apply it, take it easy. Take each module, dissect it, and see where you can apply what, and then let that consistency of doing that and actually applying it every day of the month, and then you'll see the results at the end of the month. I haven't even applied everything that I've learned. There's so much in there.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
It's a wealth of information.
And I just got this from someone else, like, dude, you dumped the load on us.
Oh,
and it's like, I have a tendency to just go, here's everything, see what works for you right now. And then at the end, we go into this on the closing of, in this season, this is what we got out of it. And then we do it again, because that's one thing that we're doing is, once you buy the course is yours. Yeah. And so to do it again and again and again and again, because you get different things in different seasons.
Yeah. It's amazing, man. I definitely appreciate you introducing me to it. It's been nothing but success stories. There's challenges, of course, that come up with trying to imply different things.
Well, absolutely. If it was easy, everyone would be in business doing really well.
This is true, and especially if you already have an existing business that you're trying to imply new systems to. There's going to be some shakes that are going to happen, and you got to be you got to be gentle with it at some point, but. In certain areas, you have to be stern. So you gotta kind of decipher what works and what doesn't work, and what's the right timing for what. So going through the modules and understanding when to apply which steps is very important. So I've been taking my time going through it. I'm not even halfway done of applying certain things that I've learned in there, but I've already seen the success. So I would love to encourage anybody that's watching this to get it, dive into it, and just see what it's all about. It's a wealth of information. It's worth it from
awesome.
Personal experience.
And so one of the parts that we kind of breezed over, but it's actually the most important. So some companies I work with are actually bigger, and it's not necessarily of we want to generate more revenue.
Right.
It's more of the business owner or operators going, I started a business to get free time.
And now
I'm spending every single, there's a saying, I forget what it is. It's something like only entrepreneurs will give up a paycheck to give all their time to not get paid. But
true.
The one thing that you said that was amazing is I'm assuming owner or CEO, because he was doing everything himself, he didn't have that time and he was feeling all the weight. And one of the lessons that you took in was building the dream team and actually showing how to have not everything on one person. And so I'm making an assumption, maybe you can correct me, but the assumption is, so this person's got to be feeling just so much relief of thinking my business is able to run from these systems and it's not all on me. Actually, and one of the things that we do, the eventual result is, Gerber goes over this in the E-Myth. It's a great book if you haven't read it yet, but he talks about the 3 different levels, the manager, the manager, the operator, and the entrepreneur. And most people are either manager or operator. And so we get to that entrepreneur where at some point he's able to go, my business is running effectively and it's not on my shoulders. I don't have to be there. I can just check in and work with, if I love working with clients, just come in and shake some hands. Hold some babies, shake some hands.
That's some babies and take some pictures.
Exactly. Well, awesome, because that's a huge part that a lot of people miss early on in the business aspect. But if you've been open 5, 10, 15 years, depending on what you're looking for, is I'm doing this because I want more time and I want to continue to generate revenue.
You know, one thing that you just touched bases on that I want to kind of elaborate on is that my father-in-law has been doing this for years, right? And because he was or is currently the business, just like we talked about, it's hard for him to step away from it. So what we actually, with this system, what we're implementing is for him to have a 4-year plan of being able to actually step out. So we have a system that works with him being able to oversee it from home.
Having the end game in mind.
That's what it's all about.
It's another lesson.
Instead of you being the manager and the gears of the business, now you can kind of oversee it and be able to see your baby grow.
That's awesome, man. I didn't know all the other things. When you shared that one part with me, that was where I said, oh my gosh, let's get it on camera. And then these other parts that you've applied, that is awesome.
Yeah, man.
Well, I'm hoping that's enough by itself just to say, holy cow, those are 3 avenues that I got, and I can already apply it. As you take the course, you're able to dive in a lot deeper. And one thing, we wanted to keep it really simple. I think the longest module is like 12 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's very quick. It's quick, but there's a lot of information in that. So I wouldn't, once you start diving into it, I wouldn't breeze through it. From one module, I've taken, like, even though it was 6 minutes, I've taken 3 pages of notes. Just because that's the type of person I am. I gotta dissect things. I need to understand it before I can apply it. And what I love about it is that the way you verbalize things on there, it's very simple. Just like we talked about. It's understandable, it's applicable, and it's great, man. It's a gift from the gods, definitely.
I love it. You heard it from him, not my words, his. A gift from the gods, the nectar. That's awesome, man. Well, I'm so glad to hear that you helped turn that business around. You have a 4-year plan where your father-in-law, is it?
Yeah.
Where your father-in-law is going to be able to actually retire and the business is going to be even bigger and better than it is right now.
That's what we're hoping for.
Gosh, that's awesome.